Hello everyone, I'm Mario. This story is called The Winter Journey. And autumns and the wind blew colder and the last leaves fell from the trees. The crops were harvested and the feasting was over. For Pocahontas and her village, the time had come to travel to their winter camp. Pocahontas loved her home by the river, but she always looked forward to this trip. The journey meant new adventures and new places to explore. Best of all, many different villages from the Powhatan Nation gathered at the winter camp to work together during the cold months. As they walked, Pocahontas stepped off the trail and bent down to examine the cold ground. She saw fresh tracks from an opossum, a family of deer, and even a bobcat. Some animals were still out and about in the winter. Moments later, snow began to fall. Pocahontas tipped her head back, enjoying the feeling of snow on her face. Well, we are close, called Pocahontas' father, the chief of the Powhatan. Pocahontas' village was the first to arrive at the campsite. They hurried to unpack and set up their winter home. Some villagers made shelters by tying woven mats onto wooden frames. Others started fires for cooking and warmth. A group of hunters prepared to find food for that night's dinner. Pocahontas and some others set out to gather firewood. Bring back as much dried wood as you can before dark, Pocahontas said. Pocahontas strayed farther from the camp to search for wood. She loved the quiet of the winter forest and the soft sound of the wind. Wait, she thought. What was the noise? Pocahontas put down her firewood and listened carefully. There it was again. It sounded like crying. Wah! She climbed the nearest tree, but couldn't see anything. At first, then she looked down and gasped. A little lost deer was wandering alone in the woods. He was too young to survive on his own and needed to get back to his mother quickly. Pocahontas climbed down from the tree. Her moccasins crunched softly in the snow. The fawn looked up and froze. Pocahontas held her hand out. It's all right, little one, she said. I'm here to help. Slowly, Pocahontas reached into her pouch and pulled out some berries. She held them flat on her palms so the breeze would carry their scent to the fawn. The little deer pricked up his ears with interest, and Pocahontas gently tossed the berries to him. While the fawn happily ate his snack, Pocahontas crept around him until she could see his tracks in the snow. She had to take the fawn back the way he had come. She dropped a berry on his path, following the tracks a little farther. She dropped more berries, and the fawn went hurrying after her. Soon they came to the bank of a creek, scanning the icy mud at the water's edge. Pocahontas saw two sets of tracks. One belonged to the fawn, and the other she thought must belong to his mother. The mother's track continued on the opposite bank. Pocahontas lightly ran across a path of rocks in the creek. Then she put a berry down on the far bank. The fawn walked closer and reached out a hoof, then pulled back. He was afraid of the rushing water. Patiently, Pocahontas piled more and more berries on the bank. The fawn gazed at the berries hungrily. Finally, he charged right into the shallow creek. Splash! In a few bounds, he was across and sloshing onto the bank, dripping icy water. He looked up at Pocahontas and shook himself happily. Pocahontas and the fawn followed the mother's trail to the edge of a clearing peering ahead. Pocahontas saw a doe pacing back and forth. "Is that?" she started to ask. But the fawn was already galloping across the clearing to his mother. The family was together again. Pocahontas watched, smiling and peaceful. A branch snapped behind her. Pocahontas whirled around. "There you are!" Pocahontas' best friend, Akoma, called to her. "You've been gone a while, so I came looking for you." "Look," Pocahontas said, pointing. "The little one was lost." "How sweet," Nakoma said. "But we should get back. It is almost dark." Pocahontas brightened. "Has anyone else arrived?" "Three more villages, probably more by now," replied Nakoma. Pocahontas nodded. "That is the beauty of winter." It brings us together. Back at the camp, people from many different Powhatan villages were gathered. Everyone seemed to be talking at once. There was so much to catch up on, so many stories to tell. Pocahontas snuggled under a blanket by the fire and listened. She was happy to be surrounded by the love and laughter of her family. Seasons changed and camps moved, but no matter where she rested her head, the land and the families Pocahontas found there always felt like home. And that is the end of the story. Well, it was a good story that Pocahontas was helping, well, found a baby deer and took it back, was trying to help the baby deer find his mother. Let me bring up my little buddies. Leo. Well, hello there. And Bluey. Hello, everybody. So, what did we learn from the story? We learned that the baby deer was lost, and Pocahontas was trying to help the baby deer find his mother. Yeah, and it was snowy in the forest, so it was hard to find his mother. So, what did he do? Well, Pocahontas looked at the baby deer's track, his footsteps. So they went back where the baby deer started walking, well, sorry, on the snow. Yeah, they were looking at it, trying to find a way where the baby deer got lost. And that way, the baby deer will be with his mother. And they did. Well, they found the river, but they also saw another deer track. So they followed it around the river, and the baby deer will jump over the river. Until then, they found the mother deer. Well, how did Pocahontas help the baby deer? Well, she gave him berries. And you know deers love berries to eat. So that's how the baby found his mama with those lovely berries. Well, to follow Pocahontas. It's true. But what advice can you give to the boys and girls at home? Well, if you go to a store or to the park or somewhere else that you don't know, it's better to, well, always stick to your parents. Yep, that is true. You never leave your parents alone when you go outside in the city or even in nature, like in the forest. Always stick together. Never leave each other's sight. Okay? Just like me, Leo, and Bluey. Yep, that is true. Well, we're gonna go, everybody. We hope y'all enjoy Thanksgiving week. Ta-ta! And have some fun. Bye-bye. Mwah. Well, always stick with your family. Stay with your family. Okay? When you go out, you always hold your parents' hands. Do not go alone outside in public, because then a stranger will take you away. So, better watch out where you're going with your parents. And always stick together with your parents. Okay, boys and girls? Stay safe. Have a nice, lovely Thanksgiving week, okay? I love you all. Stay safe. Happy holidays.